This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement.
Blueprint Nation, what is going on? Listen, super excited as we are here for another dope episode of the Respect My Blueprint podcast. As you know, we give you the blueprint on how to do shit around here, okay? And today I have my guest. It's all for all of you Gen Zers and millennials out there, the younger crowd. I have somebody that's in your age range. You know, you guys like to out there party, dance, have fun, and everything like that. Well, guess what? My guest is no stranger to that type of vibe, that type of atmosphere. We are going to talk about not all in all partying, but how to be able to go ahead and leverage your personal and your business brand, and pretty much how they can be conflated and be the same. So my guest, you know, when it comes to hustling, having fun, chaos, humor, everything like that, he is the man. All right. He's built a mini empire over in Texas, when he's worked with people like 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗁, G-Eazy, and everything like that. And he's also experienced some trauma himself, which we're going to talk about. When he was able to come back from it and overcome it, and, you know, being able to rock the stage even bigger than before, right? And we're going to hear from him. He is the founder and CEO of Shrader Promotions. He's Dyslexia warrior, and he's also the unshakable force behind Shrader Nation. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the man of the hour, my main man, my good friend here, Benjamin Shrader. What's going on, Ben? How you doing, brother?
Thank you so much for having me. It's exciting. I'm glad to have the opportunity to share the blueprint. And I know
There
the
you
talks
go.
that we've had, it's just a pleasure speaking with you. So I know that we're going to have one heck of a time.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, super excited. Listen, man, although of my age, you know, I'm at the age where I've lost my hair and everything like that. I'm not as young and vibrant like you,
I thought you just
the
shaved
younger
it. You got
crowd
the
is.
Joe Rogan look.
You know, so yeah, but I do like to have fun. I like to stay hip and everything like that. So hopefully this conversation and what you're going to share with me is going to bring some of my youthful energy back.
Stay
Okay.
down
So
with
I'm
the
hoping to
youth.
get
I'm
that.
always trying to do it myself. You know, you got
Okay.
to keep
Cool
up with
beans.
the
Cool beans.
TikToks and everything.
So listen, Ben, so far I try to give you a dope introduction and everything like that. But if you could take some time out,
Yes.
introduce yourself with the audience. Let them know a little bit about yourself, your background, and who is the man behind Benjamin Shrader.
Well, hello, my friends. I am Benjamin Shrader. I run an event production company called Shrader Promotions, LLC. We organize concerts all across the state of Texas, a lot in Austin, College Station, Houston, San Marcos, all over. Our focus really is on a lot of either fraternities, sororities, or corporate clientele. We're full service. So you tell us our budget and who you want, and we will book your artist, we will book your stage, we will sell your tickets, we can do everything for you. I've been doing that almost 9 years now, and I started in college.
Damn, almost a decade,
Almost
bro.
a
Okay, so
decade.
you're
Almost
a
a
vet at
decade.
this. There's no playing with you. Okay, all right.
Really, you know, I was in a program called Startup Aggieland at Texas A&M, and in that program, they taught you how to start a business. And I had no widget, I had no gadget, but I was good with people, and I had always dreamed of being popular. That was my dream. And I said, what do college kids like? College kids like to party. If I control partying, college kids will like me. That was the simple deduction behind the entirety of my
Wow.
career. And so I just started going out every single night, shaking the hands of bouncers, trying to talk to managers, saying, hey, let me promote this event. Let me manage your social media. It was very rinky dink at first, but with the help of Startup Aggieland, you know, I was able to get an LLC. I was able to really learn the things that I need to do, the things that I need to
Okay.
do to succeed. And so I had that foundation. And then when other kids were drinking or they were partying, well, you know, not kids, legally drinking, I'm sure.
Right.
When other people were out and about, or even studying. I was trying to build this. I was trying to make this happen, this dream of having something more. So eventually, one venue took me up on my offer. I managed their social media, became sort of the face of that venue. And within a year, we had like a 25% increase in overall sales because we took it from a place that was just okay to a hotspot. We showed that it was a hotspot on social media. We got all of the staff to always be posting the events. It was fantastic. And so with that success, I saw where the real money is, which is in events. Bar sales
Okay.
across the board, bar sales are on the decline. Gen Z does not go out like the millennials do. Gen Z doesn't go out on a Friday night unless there's a reason to go out. What is going up is concerts, and that is where the money is at. So I said, okay, I'm going to start doing events. Started with a few small ones, then I had one big one, which went great. Went great by the skin of my teeth. The artist was 3 hours late. I almost lost my shirt. If he hadn't showed up, the business would have died right there. So thank God.
Damn. Okay. Okay.
I maybe risked a little too much on that one, but thank God that he showed up. He
Hey,
did.
but it worked though. It
It
worked though,
worked. It
right? So
worked.
come on.
He did a great show, and that was the beginning. And then I started doing more and more shows out in College Station, and it got to the point where I was doing a good portion of all of the concerts there. You know, we had Fetty Wap. He did great show. It's a tragedy he went to prison. He was always nice
Yeah,
to me.
obviously,
Always
right?
nice
It's
to
like,
me.
come on, my God.
And then from there, I said, okay, let's start expanding. So I started partnering with organizations in Austin and San Marcos. And then sadly, during the pandemic, a lot of those organizations went under. So I said, okay, I will assume the mantle. And so I started doing them, on my own out here. And so over time, it just grew and it's been a joy. I love being able to see all the work that I put into something then come to life in this event. And when the event goes off great, you know that it's a success because you put so much work into it and you get to see a tangible representation of the effort that you made. So yes, that is what I do.
And so, wow. So let me ask you, what started you? What was the inspiration of you wanting to? Because you went to Texas A&M, if I'm
I
not
went
mistaken. You
to
went to college
Texas
in Texas.
A&M for 3 years, and then I had a
Okay.
golf ball sized brain tumor, but we'll get into that. So I actually had dropped out of college for 2.5 years, and I decided only recently, a year ago, I went back and I just graduated from UTSA online, but I graduated summa cum laude. So,
Ooh,
college is a lot
my
easier
God.
when you treat it like work.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree, right? You got to have fun in life anyway, no matter
Oh,
what.
exactly.
You end up getting into these events. You started getting into event promotions, right?
That's
And
how I started, was the promotion side. It was a lot easier and it's a great pathway to get to it, but you just have to be a little careful because, and I know something that
really,
we'll get into, which is the personal brand versus the business brand, was that, I see a
right.
lot of promoters that get into the nightlife to party. You are not there to party. You are there to offer a service. You are there for business.
Uh,
Yes, are there benefits where you will have access or things, but I will never drink if I am working. It's rare that I do anyway. Never handled it well. It makes me feel unwell. So, but I will
right.
especially never do anything like that if I'm working. You got to keep your head on. You got to make sure that you are there for your work. This is not for you to party. This is not for you to have a jolly old time. You have to make sure that the customer has a jolly old time.
And it's easy to get caught up in the hype and everything like that,
100%.
and being able to go ahead and just lose focus.
I have
And
seen it
next thing you
devour
know,
people.
the business goes right out the window,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I have seen it devour people. And really the promotion side, it's a way to start in the music industry, but it is not viable in the long run. There's just not enough money in it, I would say. Now, are there some, the Vegas promoters, the Miami promoters who really make great money and are able to do that full time? Yes. That is definitely a thing. But for most people in most areas of the country and the world, being a promoter is not a viable long-term strategy. You have to either
Wow.
move into organizing the events, like I did, and then I go, I guess, a step above that to organizing the bigger concerts at
Right.
venues and things like that. Because yeah, if you stay promoting events forever, you're usually only getting a small cut, and It can be tough to make ends meet. A lot of those people have, a second job or things like that.
Right. It's hard to be able to go ahead and sustain that type of, that type of livelihood with that type of career and everything
And
like
it'll
that.
eat you up. It's a young man's game. You don't get done till 3 a.m.
Right. That's what I
Yeah,
was saying.
yeah.
That's what I was saying. But you
At
was
my
able to
age,
connect
I
with,
feel like I need a cane already.
well, listen, but you was able to connect with huge acts like Wiz Khalifa and G-Eazy and everything like that. Man, how was you able to tap in with some of these guys?
So, what I found, the secret, really, I guess, open secret, but the secret is you need to become friends with people. How it all started for me
Relationship capital. Yeah.
was I had been working and become friends with basically all of the DJs in College Station because I would book them at all different
Okay.
things. Someone needed this type of DJ. I would book this guy. Someone needed this type of DJ. I would book that guy. They all knew me. I also showed the flag a lot. I would make sure to, if I couldn't be at an entire event, I would make sure to be there some. I'd make sure to pop in and say, hi, oh, good to see you, boss. I would always call the owners boss. I think that's just a nice thing to do. And if you
Right.
forget a name, it's a great thing to fall back on. Say hi to
Like,
the
what's up, boss?
DJs.
How you doing? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right.
And by becoming friends with them, I was introduced to all sorts of people. I met the manager, I believe, for 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗁𝗀. He is a EDM artist, and his manager introduced me to G-Eazy's management, and they've introduced me to different people, and it was all that almost like a web of meeting these people and being in the right place at the right time to meet these people, getting the number, making the contact, saying, hey, this is what I do. I'd love to work with you in the future. Who do you work for? Or what do you do, friend? Those type of things. And then once I had made those connections, I was able to get artists for a lot better price than going through an agency because I'm working directly with the management. The agencies are going to take a real chunk. And then eventually I had made connections and friendships with some of the people at C3, which is the big company out here that does ACL, Austin City Limits, and
Right. Okay.
them, and then the people at Night Culture, which is the big company in Houston. So with those contacts, I can reach anyone. If I have the money, if the money is there for an event, anyone can be reached.
Let's go.
So if you have, what was it, like $1.5 million and you want Kendrick Lamar for 10 minutes, I got you. But
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
if you got
hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I hope make sure you take care of Ben if he go ahead and is able to bring you a top tier act. All right. But, Benjamin, it definitely looks like you the man that's be able to go ahead and make things happen for sure. Right. But,
with
all right. Now,
the clientele, I
so,
want to make them happy.
so you obviously are no stranger into building what they call a brand.
100%.
Obviously, right? With obviously with your business of Shrader Promotions and everything like that. Now, you've also built a huge following, personal following with yourself with Shrader Nation and everything like that. So, how was you able to go? Because obviously, I'm asking these questions before we get to the meat and potatoes, personal brand. So, how was you able to build a huge personal brand as well, too?
First off, how the Shrader Nation became a thing. It's kind of a funny story. The rapper T-Wayne, he had a song a little while ago, First Let Me Hop Out, something, along those lines.
I don't know.
And he did very well, really popped off on TikTok and things like that. And he's popular around here. And I've done so many shows with him. But he told me one day, he was like, Ben, you need a name. You need a name for your thing. Your people need a name, your followers. And I was like, oh, that's silly. Ben's
Yeah,
boys,
you're not thinking nothing. Yeah.
And he said to me, Shrader Nation. And so I can say wholeheartedly, I did not come up with such an arrogant name for myself. Now, I did love it. I did love it once he said it. The DJ group that he worked with was Something Nation, and then he just said it to me, Shrader Nation, you do that. And I started doing that, and I took it to an extreme, and I found that it was actually very useful. Our event posters, I would make them like propaganda posters for the Shrader Nation from some Eastern Bloc, like, 1984 style, where you've got the guy with the flag and everything, So it would be an event coming up, but I would put these up on the wall, and it would be one after another, after another, after another. I mean, it looked like you were in the Soviet Union or something like that. So, know, almost a little nonsensical, but the brand was very much like almost 𝗥𝗲𝗍, which is that clothing brand that has sort of authoritarian aesthetics. It
Right.
had very
Okay.
much like it was a nation state, and it engendered like almost a loyalty amongst people. And I'm surprised that it worked, if I'm being honest. But I'm honored to be the supreme leader of the Shrader Nation. It was something. It's amazing to me when I'll be at an event and people will yell it out or come over and take a picture and say Shrader Nation. I mean, that is a glorious feeling. That is something, and I think it works because it allows people to feel like they're a part of something, almost a part of the event, which they are. And so having those loyal supporters, and I always hated the word fans because, I mean, I have 50 point something K on Instagram, but that is small. Like, that is small. I'm just lucky that most of my target audience is geographically located in Texas, so that amplifies the ability of what I can
Of
do
course.
with that following. And so there really is very little difference between the business and me. That has always been one thing.
Wow. So I mean, although you didn't come up with the name, you obviously took the idea and took off with it.
I embraced it. It was
Right.
something about it. I just liked it. You know, I love history, and I would making these propaganda event posters was fun, and the way that people took to it. Because when that all started, I was still at A&M, and it was funny. It was almost strange. I got more and more known for doing events and for working a lot with the fraternities and the sororities. I would do a lot of their events, even though I love the Greeks, but they're very
Right.
stressful. It's very
Right.
stressful.
Right. I can imagine.
When somebody
Okay.
brings a giraffe to a party and you ask them, "Did you get this licensed by the city?
Yeah, it's
Where's your
like,
permit?"
whoa.
It's going to give me a heart attack. Corporate clientele, very easy to work with. The fraternities and sororities have a lot of money. They're great people. Just a little more stressful on my end. But becoming known as sort of the event guy out there, people took to the Shrader Nation and would yell it out at events. And it was really something special. And not as much today now that I'm dealing with more corporate clientele, but I still get that sometimes. And I always have to say, if somebody tells me that they want to get a picture or yells out Shrader Nation, they have made my day.
What? Hey, listen, man. But at least you're humble, though. You're humble
Oh, you're
about it. You're
kind.
not
Thank you.
the ego's not inflated or anything like that. You're not some type of, leading Jim Jones cult or something like
Okay.
that or anything like that.
Well, it's because of their support. It's because of the people that have
Right.
been really loyal to the brand that I'm able to have a company. If it wasn't for them, and especially in the beginning, a lot of my shows that maybe, weren't the best planned shows a long time ago now. Now they're all perfect, of course. You
Right.
know,
Okay.
without that support, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be able to employ people.
Which now you have this, like we've mentioned, like a mini empire that you've built for yourself.
I'm very generous.
So, I want to ask you how important it is to have a personal brand versus a business brand. Is it, because of course, you've leveraged your personal brand based off of your business brand, but you have individuals like, for instance, let's just use Elon Musk. Elon Musk has a personal brand, himself. He's a brand, right?
Yes,
But of course, he has Tesla, SpaceX, and so on and so forth, all of these other companies that have their own business that stands on their own, right?
100%.
So how what are your thoughts on being able to have two separate brands and how important it is?
Elon, I would say, that is a very special case. The richest man in the world, space pioneer. I like Elon. He's a good guy. I look forward to having a Tesla bot and a Neuralink in my head. Maybe I'll be able to read.
Okay, all right.
But I would say, to a degree, there is, yes, of course, some separation, but to a degree, those brands are inseparable from Elon himself. We notice this
Okay.
where if Elon does something, the stock price of something can go up or down or stay the same, but it is, in many ways, both of those companies are deeply, deeply tied to him. And
Intertwined,
so
yeah.
I would argue that for the majority of business owners who want to be public and want to use their public image to help their business, for that class of people, now are there some where you might have like a law firm or something like that, where, it's,
Yeah,
there
of
are some that
course.
it's not as applicable. But for those that
Right.
are more linked, your personal brand is your company's brand because it is inseparable from the leader of that company. So if
Mm.
you post something controversial, if you post something embarrassing, that can hurt your company. And on the other hand, if you show that you are winning and you are good at what you do on your social media, I don't have a resume. I've never had a resume. My resume is my social media. I send that to people, excuse me. I send
That's
that to people and I say, or this is an event that we did. Here's the video.
right.
That is my resume. They see verified, they see a good following count, they see events that I have done, and that is the only resume that hopefully I'll ever need.
Right. That speaks for itself right there, right? That gives
I
them
know
everything they
I made
need.
the argument a little bit when we were first talking, which is that I would say that there is no separation in most cases of entrepreneurs
Okay.
and things like
Oh.
that. That, like, if you get a really bad reputation, it is going to hurt your company because people will figure it out, or they will know
Mhm.
that that company is run by you. And then I mean, you look at some of these. I've always disliked like fake entrepreneurs and things like that. But you see some of these people who will have something that's borderline on a scam almost. And then when it all falls through, like Sam Bankman-Fried, I think,
Okay. Yeah. The
or like
FTX guy.
the Fire Festival,
Yes. Okay.
it is unrecoverable personally. Like, your company and your personal brand have
Is
been decimated.
tarnished now. Yeah.
And so, like, I've spent years working on building up a good reputation in the community that I work with, the like nightlife events industry, of being nice, easy to work with. These are the things that are critical. So even if you don't have a business, you need a personal brand. You need to be able to so when employers are looking at your social media, they say, wow, okay, this guy does charity work. This guy is really passionate about pickleball, soccer, whatever you're into. This guy has a great family. Social media is a powerful tool to shape people's perception of you before you ever meet them.
Man, that's a very, very good. And because we're in a day and age where having a brand is extremely important. And I agree with you, especially, when it comes to your personal brand and your business brand. I mean, whatever you do personally has a large effect on your business, whether it's a publicly traded company or a private company. It's ultimately going to have an effect where, you do something embarrassing or stupid, then boom, next thing you know, hey, you're looking crazy out on these streets, as like people like to say, right?
Exactly.
You know,
Looking crazy.
looking crazy, and you don't want to do that. And so how now I want to go ahead and talk about, I want to switch gears before we're going to come back to this, but I want to switch gears for a second here, because you have overcome huge challenges, not only in just building your business, but also personally as well too. You have been diagnosed with a rare form of dyslexia, your story to be able to uplift others. So if you could share a little bit about that, and then we could talk about how you have used that sort of as a platform to be able to help others.
Dyslexia, it's very common. 1 in every 5 people have it. However, the severity of it varies greatly. And best way to describe it is when I look at a page in a book, I could tell you what each letter is. I just can't tell you what it says. It's like looking at a foreign language. To this day, I only read at a 3rd grade reading level. And that's why, thank God, the business has done well and I'm able to have an assistant who helps me read, or you and me both. Um,
No worries.
that's a godsend. Better than any machine spirit, better than the AIs.
Hey, listen, God always has our back no matter what,
Oh,
man.
amen, amen. When I say machine spirit, it's a joke, like the AIs are, the spirit in the machine.
That's okay.
But it was really hard growing up with it.
Damn.
I had 9 years of reading therapy, and it only got me to the 3rd grade reading level. And I was told by so many doctors, told by reading specialists, that I would never learn how to read. And it was a very nice older lady, Mrs. Prim, a former teacher, who used the Orton-Gillingham approach, the old original approach, to actually get me to the point where I was able to get by. That was always my family's goal. And I will be forever in debt to them. My parents made a lot of sacrifices and really were amazing to make sure that I could get the help that I needed, whether that was
Right.
making sure that I had the proper testing, because that's one of the most important things. You can't just say you have dyslexia. You have to go to an actual specialist, get tested. And yes, I'm in the 1
He does.
percentile. I got dyslexia, dysgraphia, and 𝗥𝗲𝗃𝗍, which is trouble with reading, trouble with writing, and trouble with math. And
Damn.
it was hard. Kids would read Harry Potter, and I just had to watch the movies and act like I read the books. In a Bible study, when they're passing the Bible around and reading it, I'm freaking out inside saying, what am I going to do when it comes to me? I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the other kids.
Right,
If
right.
I'm in class and then I have to be called out to go take my test in the learning center and all the other kids laugh a little bit, that hurt.
Of
Now,
course.
I will say dyslexia did three wonderful things for me. First off, my father, when I was a kid, always told me, Benjamin, you're going to have to work twice as hard as other kids just to get to where they are on this reading, writing, arithmetic. But you are good at talking. Double down at that. Become
Wow, dope. Okay.
amazing at public speaking, at talking, and that is how you will survive in a reader's world. And that is some of the best advice that I've ever gotten. And so my father helped really teach me and train me up on public speaking, on these type of
Okay.
things. The second is dyslexia keeps me humble. I know that sounds silly, but I will say in the nightlife, I see a lot of people lose themselves. They become someone that they're not because they're around flashy lights and a cool time that ends at 2 a.m. It's not real. It's the nightlife is amazing and it's fun and these type of things, but it's not real. You might be the most powerful person in that nightclub from the hours of 9 to 2, but after that, you're just you're just a
You're
normal
just another
person.
person. Exactly. Yeah.
And so I will never forget, I was doing a show with Loud Luxury. They're a famous EDM group. And I
Okay.
pulled out, I always wear a suit. It's a big part of the brand, that's part of the showing I'm winning. I'm in a suit, professional, and bringing an air of professionalism to what can sometimes be a little chaotic. I pulled out the sheet of what artist was opening next. And I'm looking at it and I cannot tell what it says for the life of me. And I put this whole event together. Me and a group that I had partnered with, and without them, without me, this event would not have happened. It would not be going on without me. And yet I can't read what is on this sheet right in front of me. I just grabbed a stagehand who was setting up and I was like, what does this say? Because it was super loud. I got earplugs
Right,
in.
right.
And so that, that really always reminds me of that. Like, I have weaknesses, I have challenges, and I have difficulties, but I don't hide them anymore. I will admit to people, I will tell them right off the bat, oh, hey, could you read this for me? Or if someone gives me a contract, I cannot sign it right there. I have no idea what it says. And so I say, I need a
Right.
day. I got to send this over to the lawyer, or I need to voice to text this just to make sure that it's right. And then finally, what dyslexia did for me was it gave me the drive. Like, I believe I would have been a jerk without dyslexia. I believe I would have been an absolute jerk if I wasn't a dyslexic. It gave me the
Right. It
fire.
kept you balanced and even keel pretty much.
It
Yeah.
gave me a desire for more, where I said, I want more out of life. I want to build something. I want to succeed, and I want to prove to myself that I can succeed and others. And so that desire to work hard, that desire to create, that desire to be tenacious and never lie down. You get knocked down. I've been knocked down 1,000 times. You get back up. There is no option. You stand back up and you try again, even if it's you running into a brick wall. Eventually, you are going to crack that wall, and then you're going to run through it like the Kool-Aid man. That we don't have a choice in life, of that if we want to actually do something with our lives, we have to try. We have to do it. When the whistle blows, you got to go over the trench. Like, there is no choice.
And that's very, very powerful. And to hear the trials and tribulations you had to overcome with this, man, it's like, man. And if I'm not mistaken, not only has humbled you, right?
You're
But this has
kind. Thank
caused you
you.
to also champion it, that's educate
Yes,
others
yes.
and people who's
I
suffering from it as well too, if I'm not
Thank you.
mistaken, right?
Thank you. Yes, I really found, as I grew more of a following and I was able to do more things. I actually believe the people from the International Dyslexia Association had reached out to me to be their keynote speaker, which was unexpected. And I think they had messaged me on Facebook a while. This is a little while ago. And,
Right.
eventually I had gotten in touch with them. I had given the talk there and I really enjoyed that. And I said, okay, I am lucky that, I had parents that really took this seriously, that got me the help I needed. But there's a lot of people who may not know what to do. They may be in a really tough position. And if, 20 years ago, if you had dyslexia and you were in school, I mean, you were not getting reading therapy till like the 5th grade, which is way too late. You need it as early as possible because the brain is more malleable and you can form those neural net connections. Like we have the same number as the readers, we just have them distributed differently. Like I got half the average on one side and double the average on the other. It's just spread
Right.
out differently. So working with the International Dyslexia Association, other, pro-dyslexic groups, Ross and Saunders, BED, I believe is one. Forgive me, I forget what that stands for, but it is an immense honor and joy. I was just actually, I was meeting with the staff of a politician out here who pushed a bill through the Texas state, the House of Representatives, I believe.
Right.
Which was to help dyslexics get recognition and therapy, have testing earlier in
Okay.
schools, and that passed. And I have to say that, I almost get emotional about these things because I remember being a
Man.
kid and feeling like such an outcast, like there was something so wrong with me when I could see these other kids just read without a problem. To help really what I see as my community, to help the dyslexic community is an immense honor and a great joy because I dyslexics either end up in prison or they're successful. That's what the statistics say.
Damn,
Yeah,
literally. Are you serious?
I'm
That's
not
how.
joking. We are people of extremes that you either get the help you need and you figure out how to live in a reader's world or you don't. And,
It can lead to trouble, obviously.
I was
Yes.
very angry when I was young. I was very upset at the world, at the other kids. I wasn't always the easiest kid to raise. I was not happy. I was a grumpy pants. I was.
Yeah, I could imagine, right? I mean, you just got to go through, like your father said, twice as much just to be in the
Yeah.
same level as the other
Like
kids.
why
Yeah.
why should I be cursed with that is what I would think.
Right.
Now I don't see it as a curse anymore. It made me who I am. Without it I would not be Benjamin Shrader. I would just be somebody else. But it was
True.
hard to grow up with it. It was definitely hard. But I believe that when someone has difficulties, it either makes them stronger or it breaks them. So if you are not broken, well then keep pushing forward as long as we
Yeah,
still
keep
live,
pushing
you know?
forward. That's it. Hey, that's it. That's it. Absolutely, man. And man, first of all, kudos to you, brother.
Thank you.
Kudos to you
I
because
appreciate it.
you know, like you said, it could have been a lot easier for you to just give up or anything like that. And
There were times that I
not
wanted
only
to, but I never would let myself.
man, but here's the thing: not only have you not given up, you've made a tremendous name for yourself, right?
You're very
And
generous. Thank you.
you took in the the advice your father has given you literally and doubled down on it, right? And not only in the aspect of speaking and utilizing your superpower, which your superpower is speaking, being energetic, being hype, right? Despite hey, you have this event company now you're able to bring a good time to more people,
Yes.
right?
I've spread the joy, and it's those interpersonal skills that really it's the key to success.
Man, so which let me ask you, what do you think has been some of your secrets to be able to go ahead and have a successful career in the event space?
Yes.
Obviously building a brand has been one thing, but what do you think has been some of the other ingredients that you've put inside of the pot?
There is a joke that I make, and that it is
Okay.
kindness is the new currency. It won't pay your bills, but it will sure help. Being
Hmm.
nice. Being nice is
Being
so,
nice.
it is so
You know
important.
what? That I like that. I
Don't
really,
don't be
really like
cutthroat.
that there.
Don't
Yeah,
do
you know
not be
what? Let me
cutthroat because you will get your throat slit. Like honestly, there is enough of the pie to go around, and if you can work with people and make allies instead of saying I am going to crush this person and take them down. Now, I've made jokes about that in the past, but you
right.
don't want enemies. You don't want people to hate you or feel spited or feel like they were stabbed in the back. You want to work with people. You want to be likable. You want to be easy to work with, and you want to be nice. There were often times that after events, a lot of people might just leave, but I would always stay and I would help the bouncers and the bartenders clean up. That's little things like that where you show that you're almost a part of the team. Even though you're coming from an outside structure, that you're still a part of the team and you're doing your part just to make their lives a little easier. It's things like that, or sitting outside, just chatting with the bouncer while they're letting people in, the two of you just talking, laughing, things like that that make people like you will make it a lot easier to do work. Another secret is how you look. And I know this might seem silly, but my suit, my sport coat or my suit are inseparable from my brand. My brand, I often have been called by people the suit guy. And I'm like, okay, well,
Suit guy. I
you
love it. I
can't
love it. Yeah.
search the suit guy on Instagram and find me. So let's go with Benjamin Shrader, people. But Shrader, it's cheaper without the C. At least that's my dad
There
would
you
say.
go.
So,
There you go. Okay.
but that gave me, especially in the beginning, because I was 19 when I started doing this. I'm 26 now, but when I was 19, was doing events, and of course this is all legal. I was doing events with venues that are 21 plus. Now, if you're working there or doing something that's fine. But
Right.
I needed professionalism. I needed an air of, okay, take me seriously. So wearing a suit, sometimes a suit and tie, and when vests were still popular, a suit, tie, and a vest, a three-piece suit. And the example I use is that I was doing an event at a nightclub. I had a series of 2 concerts over 2 days. And I showed up the first day wearing a hoodie because I had gotten it signed by Johnny Manziel earlier that day. He's a famous football player out of Texas A&M.
Okay.
And I showed up and the bouncer stopped me. He was like, hey, what are you doing? Get out of here, kid. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like just here, scram type of thing.
And I never get difficult with bouncers, security, always be polite and just go away, call the manager, call the owner, call whatever. Don't ever get, confrontational. So I said,
that's the last thing you want to do.
I was like, oh, sir, I am the one putting on the event for tonight. I'm the one organizing it. And he said, oh, get out of here, get out of here. So I walked away. I called the owner guy and I was like, oh, hey, the bouncer won't let me in. Could you just, sorry to bother you.
Yeah, like help me out a second here.
I
didn't
want to make an enemy of the bouncer. I didn't want to, be a jerk about it. But then they let me in, no problem.
Right.
The next day, I showed up in a 3-piece suit. I walked right by security. I said, hey, guys, it's me. Boom. And that is the difference right there. If you look like you should be taken seriously, if you look like you know what you're doing, that is half the battle. I'll give you one final example. I was contracted by a contractor. I was playing a very small role in a charity concert for Hurricane Harvey. However, Lady Gaga made a surprise appearance at this charity concert. So afterwards, I am backstage and I am walking with my 2 friends who I had told. I was like, oh, hey, come on back. You guys are good. And so we're walking around and one of the other guys tells me, hey, Lady Gaga's going to come out of her green room any minute now. Like, you might be able to meet her.
Right.
I grabbed a piece of paper that was on a little desk thing here. Now, I was allowed to be back there, but sometimes security is so tight with some of these big people, and I was literally just starting out. This was at the very beginning of the company that I didn't have the legitimacy or these type of things. Like, someone easily could have thought that, who is this kid? But I'm in a full 3-piece suit. I picked up a piece of paper. I'm walking over towards her green room. Security guard walks by me, and he stops. And I said, oh, good golly, I'm going to have to try to explain to him, no, I am allowed to be back here. And my 2 little friends are probably going to get kicked out, but I have got all my proof and paperwork and all that. He just asked me, oh, sir, where's the bathroom? And I just pointed the opposite way that we were going. And then I waited and I got to meet Lady Gaga. I got a selfie with her. It's pinned on top of the Instagram. She was very, very nice. I was nervous. So I said, hello, Miss Gaga. Can I get a selfie with you? I'm guessing that's not her last name, but that did not occur to me.
Right. But, at that point, nerves are just running through you.
If you look like you belong, it'll make your job a heck of a lot easiar.
Man.
I don't think I've told that story in that detail before. Maybe not the best idea, but I was allowed to be back there. I was allowed.
Hey, listen, it ended up working out for the best, right? And you know what? That's just a testament of, again, you having that superpower. You're for what your dad showed you. Hey, speak up. be fearful and everything like that. And obviously this has been led to you be able to go ahead and just boom, manifest things that other people would be extremely afraid of to be able to go ahead and manifest,
It's
right?
funny when I always tell my friends that, when everyone else is calm, I'm panicking. When everyone else is panicking,
Wow.
I'm calm. My mind in these times of, okay, it is go time. I have an opportunity here. I need to act quick. In those times, my mind goes totally clear. My heart will pound, but I am thinking completely straight. And I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. That man. So let me ask you, there's a lot of work that goes behind throwing promotions with names like, Parker McCullum, G-Eazy,
Yes,
Wiz
yes.
Khalifa and everything. There's a lot that goes into throwing these type of events and
There is a
making
lot.
sure everything goes smoothly?
There is a lot, especially now that I am more on the full service end, that I'm doing everything. So that's
Right.
promotion, sound. If tickets are being sold, sometimes, like let's say it's a fraternity event or a corporate event, tickets might not be sold. But if they are,
Okay.
I'm handling really all these aspects of it. Now, sometimes the company will partner with another company for a specific event. And so that's half the workload taken off.
Right.
But there is
Right.
a lot because you have to manage a lot of people and you have to make sure that everyone's doing what they need to do. So you need sound. You need to make sure your stage is booked. You need to make sure that the
Yeah.
sound cables, that the sound guy is bringing are compatible with the cables at the venue. Because I've had nightmare situations where the cables aren't compatible and you have to jerry-rig get them together and figure out how to do it. So I will go and I will survey a
Mm.
venue beforehand. I almost always do this, especially with a big concert. I go, I tell manager or owner, I say, oh, can we meet during the day? I'd like to see the venue, take some pictures, take pictures of the tech, send it to the tech guy. So
Right.
there is
Right.
a tremendous amount of organization and work that is
And
needed.
preparation.
So much preparation. You have to make sure that ticket sales are right. You have to make sure that you're keeping proper paperwork on everything so you can file it for either your taxes or things that need to be done. And then, of course, the promotion side, I would argue, is one of the most important sides. And when you do put an ad out for anything, I'm going to tell your
Right.
audience right now, the most important thing that you need to remember is date, time, how do I get tickets? That is all that matters. I have
Those are
seen
three things. That's
so
it.
many flyers that it is so unclear of, oh, and the final one, the final one is, where is it? So
Location. Right. Right. Right.
date and time, sorry, I broke those up. So date and
Yeah.
time, location, how do I get tickets?
How do I get tickets? Those the three. That's the three main
Nothing else
three things.
matters besides the name of your headliner. And I love to, partner with people who might have not had a lot of hits lately. Now, a lot of the artists you're talking about that I've worked with are some of my top name acts that I've done, but
Right.
artists that might be sadly called like a one-hit wonder or something like that.
Right.
If
Okay.
you
Okay.
have high
Okay.
name recognition, but you haven't had a ton of hits lately, everyone wins because I am able to sell a ton of tickets. It's all about name recognition. That is all that matters. The artist gets paid well. The audience has a great time because they hear that song that they love, and the artist gets to show off their new music and maybe pick up new fans. So that is also a secret of when you are finding an artist.
Awesome. And if you market almost exclusively on social media, if I'm not mistaken, too,
Almost
right?
exclusively. I have done
Wow. What's the
some
blueprint on that? Yeah.
I have done some flyers, physical flyers, but I have not.
Uh-huh.
I think the last, maybe a couple months ago, I did use some, but they were more as decoration and
Okay.
just right by the door. Maybe someone sees it, they're walking by, this might catch their eye. There was not, physical flyers are really not always
Nostalgic.
they still work some, but they're a little bit archaic.
Yeah.
I think having them right outside your venue is great, and having some for the memory of the event is always nice. Email lists and text blasts can be a very powerful thing. Building up an email list and building up a text list, or partnering with companies like out here, there's one, 𝗥𝗲𝗹𝗁𝗍. They have a
Okay.
massive email and text lists of the people out here. Now, they will only help you if you're partnering with them and they like you. They basically are an event promotion company for all different types of
Okay.
events. They tell people what's going on within the 512 area code, which is Austin. So those type of things, useful, very useful. But social media has been the secret. It has been the key for me. You have to
Wow.
build up your geographically based targeted audience. So I am going for 18 to 35 within Austin, within Houston. Well, right these days, it's really within Texas. So 18 to
Within
35
Texas, the whole
within
state. Yeah.
Texas, specifically college students or graduates, these type of things where I've got these parameters. And then you can do Instagram ads based off those parameters. You can do Facebook ads based off those parameters. And you need to go in yourself. There are not AIs that can do it effectively, and Instagram has banned a lot of them. And so you need to either hire someone or go in yourself and be following accounts and people who are within your parameters and then slowly building up that audience. That's why even a company's Instagram can't just always have pictures of flyers or company things. You need pictures of people. You need human faces so that the algorithm will promote it. That's specifically for Instagram, but Facebook is also very useful. Social media and becoming an influencer has been the secret to selling out events.
And especially in this online world that we're in, right? I mean, you have to be able to pivot and be able to go ahead and be fluid on the approach. Like you said, going with flyers and everything like that, that's pretty nostalgic. That's pretty old school tactics, but yeah.
One of the most useful things on social media that I did in the beginning, and I still do to this day, was I
Right.
will offer VIP tickets to
Oh,
influencers within the community that I'm trying to reach. So let's say that fraternity sorority presidents. I would always give all of the IFC recognized fraternities and sororities 2 tickets for the president or 4 tickets, excuse me, for the president,
okay.
a guest, and the vice president and a guest. And then the football team. I would say, oh, hey guys, I got this whole slew of tickets. Let me drop them off. You guys are more than welcome. We'd love to have you. So what happens there
Okay.
with the fraternities and sororities? The president's going, the vice president's going. Oh, well, the rest of them want to go. The rest of their board
That's
or the
true.
rest of the people want to go. So that would lead to a slew of tickets being sold when I just gave away 4 and I end up selling 40, 60. And then you even finding influencers within the communities you're trying to target and say, hey, I'll give you 2 tickets if you post about it. Boom. You just reached your target audience with a micro influencer. They are very powerful because they are much more trusted by their audience than massive, massive influencers. We all know that guy who posts a lot of things or that girl who will post all
Right, of
different
course.
things. Those people are much more effective than your big, big influencers. So yeah, those were the secrets. And with the football team coming out, these type of things, or basketball team, athletes, well-known individuals on whatever college campus I am closest to, that leads to people saying, wow, cool people are at his events. Maybe, I'll be cool too if I go. And yeah, that really has been very effective.
Awesome, man. So I'm good. And it's extraordinary how you've been able to go ahead and just leverage, social media and everything like that. Obviously, you're in the age of how social media, how important it is and everything, right? Now, what are some of the other tactics that you utilize in order to be able to go ahead and build up your personal and business brand?
Well, getting people's phone numbers is a funny
Phone
thing.
numbers, yeah,
Phone
that's
numbers.
key. That's key.
It's
I
so
think that's
important.
overlooked a lot of times as well, too.
Massively.
Yeah.
I never check my DMs. I check my DMs maybe once a month, and I should check them
Yeah.
a lot more because, I mean, there's business opportunities, there are, promotion
Yeah.
opportunities. I need to check them a heck of a lot more. However, a lot of times, if I'm working with someone, they're going to have my phone number, and if someone else wants to work with me, they will give them my phone number, and boom, I have it right there. And I already say, oh, hey, I got your phone number from
True.
so and so. I have almost 5,000 contacts in my phone. I have 4,800
Ooh.
something. And then what does that also open up? On social media, on most social medias, there's a little tab, follow contacts. You just sync your contacts. You're able to go to people that already know you, follow them, and boom, you
Wow.
already have an audience. And no matter what social media arises in the future, I remember a time when TikTok was not a thing. I remember a time when Snapchat was not a thing. But what am I able to do? I have 4,800 people that I know already. I'm able to hit follow. They see my name pop up and they say, oh, I know that guy. Let me follow him back. So
Mm,
it's
okay.
funny enough. It ties back to social media. But yes, having phone numbers of people. That is, you can't, let's say you work with someone famous. If you DM them, they are not going to reply. They probably
Yeah,
are
or
never
they're
going to
gonna
see
have
it.
some type of autoresponder or
Yeah.
have a virtual assistant or something
I
like
had to
that.
turn off. I did turn on an autoresponder, like a Shrader Nation AI. People
See, that's
hated
what I'm
it.
talking
People
about,
hated it.
right? It's like,
And I
come
just had to
on.
turn it off and just get to the DMs when I can. So having their phone number, if you can call up an artist or you can call up the artist's manager and you just say, hey man, I got something going on, or hey Sally, I'm sorry to bother you, but I need your help with this. So that is critical. And then of course, connecting with influencers within whatever audience you're trying to target, and having those people not just become associates, but friends and people you know. They will, through word of mouth, help your events. They will help your brand. When you are liked by the people who are trusted and known by a lot of people, it will help over time in building you a good reputation. You want to find the leader in a group and become friends with the leader. It's that type of thing.
Right,
So forgive
right.
me if a lot of those link back to social media. I think getting a texting, like a email list similar, but with text
Right.
list, so you can do text blasts, very useful. That is how G-Eazy blew up in the beginning. That's how he really
Really?
took off. His brother is his manager, very nice man, and he was telling me that he mentioned it in passing that, oh yeah, the text blasts are where it's at. And then I looked up on the internet, and that was G-Eazy was one of the first rappers and people in the music industry. G-Eazy was always my favorite rapper as a kid because I could sing all of his songs without saying anything that would get me canceled.
All right. You're giving away a little bit of your flavor over there. I love it. I love it.
You know how it is. You know how it is.
Right, right.
But though Kendrick Lamar, I have to say, is likely the most talented, one of the most gifted rappers.
Oh yeah, I mean, this past year he really has showed his versatility as far as being an artist, a performer,
He's
and
amazing.
just obviously with what he got going on with Drake and everything like that. I think he stepped up to the plate and answered the call.
He really did. I mean, I had the privilege never to work with him, sadly. I would love to, but I had the privilege to see him live. And when he performed Mad City live, I mean, it was one of the most glorious experiences of my life. I mean, he is a talented performer. The way that he maneuvered that beef with Drake. And, I know some of Drake's people, and I love them. They're great. I know a lot of people that have worked with him. And so, like, I'm not taking a side. But I will say
Right,
that
right.
Kendrick played the game with a great skill. And he's so talented too.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, he's a Pulitzer Prize winner. I mean,
Yeah.
that says that right there is, if I'm not mistaken, that's the first musically, right?
I
There's not even
Or was
anybody
it the first?
musically.
Was it the first R&B rap artist, or first musically? It's one of the two.
Something to that effect. But, for one thing for sure, he's critically acclaimed, one of the top artists, or going to go down as one of the top
Oh,
artists of
easily.
all time, right? Easily.
I think that he is really likely the most gifted rapper of our time. Like, he has immense
Man.
skill, and
And trust me, there's a lot that's in that lineage, right?
so
That
there are a
is a
lot.
debate about that.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. No, and I won't say greatest of all time, because I know whenever I say that, people get upset at me. But
exactly, that's you're gonna cause some ruckus a little bit there. Okay.
exactly. But Jeezy will always have a special place in my heart, just because that's what I would listen to when I was a younger man. And I think Jeezy, Kendrick Lamar, and what were some of the others back in the day? Mac Miller before his tragic
Oh man,
passing.
before
That
he
was a
went,
track.
yeah. I mean, you still also have the more notable greats like your Jay-Z, your Nas,
Of course.
and a lot of people, of course, to go back further with Tupac and
Biggie,
Biggie and
and yeah,
everything like that.
yeah.
The earlier, there was even a point where Lil Wayne was,
Oh
very
yes,
prominent as well
yes.
too. So
I
it's, you
almost did
know,
an event with him. I was this close. Snoop Dogg and Lil Wayne are two people that I was this close to doing an event with. Technically,
woo,
technically I have done one with Snoop Dogg, but he actually had to cancel it, and it was Wiz Khalifa that we were
filled in.
desperate to get, and he was in town for I believe South by Southwest, and we were able to do a spot show and get him. Thank God. So
Hey,
technically, I've worked with Snoop Dogg, but
Okay,
Not
okay.
actually.
Not actually, but technically though. Okay, yeah. Snoop, man, you let my man Ben down, bro.
No,
Hopefully you
no,
can
no,
do
no,
a,
no, no, my
you know.
God. No, no, no. These are men far beyond my capabilities and men far beyond me who are able to do incredible things. And so I completely get it. You know, they have
Yeah,
busy
it's
schedules.
all right. Well, plus you know how the celebrities can be, but
Well,
as we're ready to go ahead.
I will just
Mhm.
say this: the more famous someone is, the nicer I've noticed they have been, which just is crazy.
That's strange.
I
You would think opposite, right?
You would think so. You would think so. But the nicer, yeah, the more famous someone has been, Lady Gaga, G-Eazy, Wiz Khalifa, these people are all incredibly nice. And it's people who are maybe on the up and coming or a little lower, who may not be as famous,
Sometimes maybe a little rough
who
around
are
the
like,
edges a
I'm
little bit,
so
right?
great. Look
Yeah.
at me. I'm so cool. So I have to say, yeah,
Yeah.
there's something to being nice.
Okay. Hey, there you go. As you say, one ingredient in a superpower is being nice, being kind. Which in this crazy world there is, you could easily turn on the morning, afternoon, or evening news, and there's nothing but sad stories and horror that's going around. We need more and more news of just acts of kindness and people being nice and empathy in the world and everything like that. So I
Amen.
wholeheartedly agree with you there, right? So as we ready to wrap up and everything, there's one final question, which is, the audience almost expects this question here because I typically ask it to every guest that comes onto the show, which, what piece of advice you would give to the audience where it comes to building their blueprint, whether it's building their personal brand, their business brand, overcoming a challenge or an obstacle that like you have throughout your life. What's a good piece of advice you could share with the audience that they could be able to utilize to build their blueprint?
Well, my friends, I have survived having very severe dyslexia. I had a golf ball sized brain tumor. I've got a big scar on the back of my head. I went deaf in my
Wow.
right ear. There have been a lot of things where I've had a lot of difficulties. There have been times where, if an event didn't go right, the business would have had a really hard time. And luckily, it all worked out in the end. But I think the best advice that I can give anyone is there's no shame in failure. There is shame in not trying. Try. There's a quote
Try.
from a book which says, even if we have to drain our banks and drain our minds, we must try. Not often do we get to see the swerving bus that would end our lives and step out of the way. We
Mm,
must try. That is all you can do. When you get knocked back down, get up. Get up.
get up.
When the whistle blows, go over the trench. All you can do is try. If you are going to make something of yourself, if you are going to become someone who, is remembered for a few generations, and that's one heck of an accomplishment. If you can become someone who is able to live a good life, take care of the people that you care about,
Hell
then
yeah.
you have to try. It is not a choice. It is not an option. It is not, oh, I'm tired today. It's not, oh, I'm not strong enough. You are strong enough if you have the will to do it. And that is the secret to success. That is the secret to life, is that have the fire in your heart. Think of the people that made fun of you or the people that said that you couldn't make it. And don't do it to spite them. No, but do it to show yourself that they were wrong, that you can do it.
That you can. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ben, so much for being such a huge level of inspiration. This conversation, although, we had the topic set, we had the questions set, talking about personal brand versus business brand. This was a breath of fresh air, and just having a conversation by two people,
Two
and
entrepreneurs.
one showing how to thank you, showing how to overcome challenges, and exercising compassion and kindness in this world. And I really enjoyed this conversation because this is something that I want the audience to be able to witness and enjoy, in the aspect of, if there's anything they could take away, is like, guess what, maybe helping my fellow man, my fellow woman, my fellow citizen, my neighbor, is something that we need more of, and that's lacking in today's society, right? Of course, there's nothing wrong with having a good time. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
having a
yeah.
good time, right? And nothing wrong with building a business and making a livelihood and doing what it takes to get to the top. But more importantly, we shouldn't have to step over one person, or we didn't have to push one person down in order for us to do so. But thank you so much in being able to share your story, share your journey, share your wins, and I wish nothing but the best, nothing but success for you and everything like that. And more importantly, I'm pretty sure the audience want to be able to connect with you. They want to be able to share their thoughts and opinions from today's episode. So how can they follow you? How can they connect with you? And also let the audience know if there's anything special you got coming up as well too.
Well, the best way to follow and get a hold of me is at Benjamin _ Shrader, Shrader on Instagram. I should be the first one to pop up. And
All right.
on YouTube, Benjamin Shrader. And then there is a secret project in the works. There might be a little.
Oh, are we letting the cat out the bag right now?
There might be a little book on dyslexia in the works. So I don't think I'm supposed to tell anybody, but it'll be between you, me, and your audience. So
all right,
that'll be really a lot of fun. And thank you so much for having me today. I really enjoyed when we, have spoken before, of course, but I enjoyed speaking with you today. I'm sorry, I get excited. And then you see I talk a little too much. So hopefully.
No. Absolutely. Listen. You're first of all, you're on a king's throne over there, brother.
I can't believe I bought this chair. This is my first interview in it. It's a little much. It's from the Renaissance, and it's an Italian crest. And it was at this thrift shop, and I waited for the price to go down and down, and then I said, "I'm getting it." So
you're getting it. You're not letting it go anymore.
I can't believe I got it. Not my smartest purchase. My throne over here.
No, listen, it fits you. It fits you, brother.
Thank
all right,
you.
the empire that you've built for yourself.
Oh, you're kind. You're kind.
You're well deserving.
A house of cards. A house of cards.
But listen, Ben, it's been a very, very great conversation we had. Glad to be able to have you on. Keep rocking and rolling over there in Texas. And listen, all my Texans out there, or if you're planning on visiting Texas, and if you want to be able to have a good time, tap in with Ben or become part of Shrader Nation. Of course, all of the links will be in the description down below. Listen, Shrader Nation is one of the premier rocking nations over in the Texas area. Listen, if you're having problems getting past the bouncer, just say, Wes sent you. You here to see Ben.
Yes.
And I promise you'll get right past the door, okay?
Anytime you're in Texas, there's a VIP ticket with your name on it, boss.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Well, listen, Blueprint Nation, thanks for tapping in. Thanks for joining in. As you always know, this is the blueprint on how to do shit around here. And of course, we've dropped another blueprint for you. Thanks for tapping in. And as always, we're going to catch you on the flip side. Take care, guys. Peace.
Blueprint. This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it. This generation need integration with information to move with. An inclination that is abiding in entertaining improvement. Yep, West Paul with Blueprint. This guests are exclusive. Get on and tune in and then learn some new tips about credit, finance, investment. A nice chance to get rich and buy land. Flip it, quick 9 bands. Learn all the skills from Wes, he did it. Learn how to build successful business. Run up a mill and get the digits. Run up a mill. Look, safe place where guests are speaking. Based off financial freedom. All facts, no cap, believe it. Podcast, you have to see it.